So yes, the recording has been started, and thank you everyone, and very much thank you to Ashraf for his wonderful service as ideal student lead in our last year. So now Ashraf is going to present their studies actually. Ashraf, Roland, Minhas, Opey, Prasad, and Dr. Key. Title User Competence Metrics for Science Gateways, the case of the No COVID-19 Gateway. Ashraf, the floor is open to you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mahdi, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I will highly appreciate everyone's feedback. I also want to mention this paper got accepted at the Science Gateways 2024. It will be in Montana. So me and Dr. Key are planning to go there and present this paper. We are already been scheduled. And this is a conference that I personally likes a lot because it's just one session going on at a time. Lots of amazing people and amazing conference. So any feedback, constructive feedback is highly appreciated. So please feel free to give your feedback. So I will make my presentation concise so that I can give you everyone some time to give me some feedback. So the topic is user competence metrics for science gateways, the case of no COVID-19. It's a NSF funded projects, and you can see the NSF award number here. And also this is a interdisciplinary joint project between Texas Tech University and University of Missouri Columbia. From Texas Tech, in our team, I have me, myself, Minhaz, Opey, and Dr. Key. From University of Missouri, we have Roland and Dr. Calyam. So before I move on, we need to know what is No COVID-19 Science Gateway. So even to know about No COVID-19 Science Gateway, I feel like it's better to give a sense of what is Science Gateway. So what is Science Gateway? First of all, Science Gateway is a web-based platform. And these Science Gateways are not Google Scholar or like not just Google search or not just like ChatGPT. So it's a very sophisticated platform for a very specific group of people. And for example, NanoHub, it's a very famous science gateways. It's for specific people who works with the nanotechnology. And what it does, it helps, this web-based platform helps support for a researcher. So for example, if I want to make it in a simple word, you want to do some sort of literature search, it can help you with the literature search. You want to do some sort of codings, it can help you with the coding. Even if you want to do some sort of simulations, it can also help you with the simulations. So it's a solutions for researcher that provides some sort of support, and you can seek it from the science gateways. So science gateways also come, when I say domain specific, it's also come with the community. So for example, when I talked about Google Scholar, because we all are researcher, we are very familiar with the Google Scholar. In Google Scholar is for everyone. For example, if you work in medical field, you can use Google Scholar, you get your stuff. You need your communication, you can use Google Scholar, you get your stuff. But for Science Gateway, it's very specific audience for very specific community. For example, one gateways might be only specific towards the people who developed AI chatbot. One platform will be only specific for the people who are in the medical field. One gateway will be very specific to the people who are in the engineering field, like oil, petroleum. So it's a very specific community and very specific web-based platform, and it's mostly provide support for the researcher. But it has a difference between a normal web-based application and Science Gateway. That the example I want to give provide between Google Scholar, and next I will talk about the no COVID-19. So I guess everybody has a sense what Science Gateway is. Again, it's a very short brief, but I'll love to take any question if you have a Science Gateway in the question answer session. So let's talk about no COVID-19 Science Gateway. Yes, definitely it is a Science Gateway, and the community here is the medical professionals. So what it does. So first of all, it is there is a problem in the no COVID when COVID happened. It's called data deluge problem. What does it mean? It means that there are lots of bunch of literatures. So whenever they're providing or going through the literature, they have to go through tons of literature without knowing which one to read, which one to not. And they have to read and give a service to their patients or treatment in a very short period of time. So they don't have much time to waste. So then the KnowCOVID-19 comes up with the idea, hey, we have a evidence-based filtering system that is very dominant in the medical field. But if you go manually with the evidence-based pyramid system to search literatures, it will take time forever. So time versus speed and quality paper, how we could do that. To solve this problem, KnowCOVID-19 emerges, and it helps researchers to search and find relevant, high-quality medical research that they can go to the KnowCOVID-19 Science Gateway and can find it through evidence-based filtering system. So it's a science gateway for medical professionals. And there is an addition. So KnowCOVID-19 Science Gateway also had a chatbot named Vidura. So what does the Science Gate Vidura does? Again, Vidura is not ChatGPT. It's in Science Gateway, it helps user to navigate in the platforms. So for example, if you're facing any troubleshoot, or if you're facing something that, oh, I need to search the literature I cannot find. So you can just type in Vidura. Vidura will help you. But initially it was not designed like ChatGPT. For example, in ChatGPT, you can go and you can search and it can give you a synthesized result. For example, if you say, hey, I want to know what is the best possible treatment or best possible solutions for COVID-19 treatment. What is the best medicine out there? ChatGPT will give you some sort of response, synthesized response in one. Vidura will not do that. What Vidura will do is Vidura will link you to the papers that is available and based on the evidence-based filtering to help you in the navigate in the systems. And we are also working on making a Vidura GPT. This is on process, but so far Vidura is work as an AI-powered chatbot that help users of KnowCOVID-19 Science Gateway in the navigate in the platform. So how the papers idea comes. So in Science Gateways, there are two main challenges that we have identified in our paper. Number one, funding. So yes, gateways got lots of funding, but many gateways struggles with limited funding because which is allocated for developing open source prototype rather than usability improvement. So when they're asked for funding, gateway developers, they mostly try to ask money for develop coding and stuff like that. They don't more think about user-centric research or usability research or user experience research. So that is one of the limitations that gateway developers do not consider when they are apply for NSF fundings. Second is competence. So when we are making a platform or gateways for a very specific community, but we do not, the gateway developer do not consider the nuances between the users. For example, if I make a gateway for only media and communication people, or only the people who study games, for example, Ben, he study, but at that moment, I will not consider, I will consider the entire people who works on the gaming as a single community. I will not consider them their competence level, like who is better in this research, who is less better, or what kind of thing. So that is another problem that gateway developers do not consider when they or give less attention. I will say not do not consider, give less attention to their when they build gateway. So this is the two challenges that we address in this paper, and we definitely come up with a solution. So before explaining our solutions, we also talked about competence. So what is competence? So user competence is originally proposed back in 1959. It's a concept in psychology and has used in many disciplines. So competence means what can I say? Competence is something that your ability to work on something fluently. For example, if I say, hey, can you search a article in Google Scholar? You say, yes, I can do that. And for this, you need different level of competence. For example, you need domain competence. For example, if I say, hey, you have to search something on Google on media and communication. So if you have knowledge on media and communication, that called domain competence. And then if you know how to search in Google Scholar, for example, you go to the Google Scholar, you search the literatures, and then you find it. That is your technical competence because you know how to use the internet and Google Scholar. And then finally, because you gave a problem and you are looking for the solutions, it's also considered as a problem solving competence. So that's three kind of competence we come up with in the case of no COVID-19 gateways. Again, this is not just emerged from our ideas. This is a result of our research that we does, and it comes from the data that we have collected to the usability studies of no COVID-19. We analyze this data and we interviews and user experience. Then we come up with these three different competence from our data set. So this is not just we brainstorm and come up with this. It's based on the scientific evidence of our previous research. So these three competence we are working on: medical competence, domain competence. It's known as user expertise of specialized knowledge in no COVID-19. Then we have technical competence, user ability to effectively, efficiently use the search engine, gateways, features, and tools to locate information they are seeking. And finally, problem-solving competence, motivation to adapt themselves to any new innovative technologies to complete and assign tasks. So with background, we come up with these specific research questions, and I'm going to read it. How can the user competence metrics, domain, technical, and problem-solving skills be statistically validated and then be used to generate insights about gateway users? So in this study, we try to develop a scale that can statistically significant. We can validate this scale. At the same time, how we can incorporate this scale to the gateway to provide better service to the gateway users. So to do that, we have to go through a process, which we say research design or method. First, we got the IRB approval, so approval obtained prior to the data collections. And then we got through a survey company known as sentiment.co. So we collected the data between April 26 to April 29, and they gave us a total response of 396. And we have to remove 31 response because of the failing attention check. And what was the attention check? We give an attention question in our survey that was, please select all of the above for this question. So the participant who did not select all of the above, we considered them as a failure because they did not read the question properly. And finally, we had 365 valid responses, and we use an assessment agreement on 18 item across 3 composite scale, and we use 7-point Likert scales, and we also have some collected some demographic data as well. So that's all the explanations how we conducted the study moving forward. So our first goal or objective of the study was to validate our scale, and we got very satisfactory results. So you can see the medical domain competence, we got Chromebox Alpha 4.93. And for technical competence, we got Chromebox Alpha of 0.93. And in problem-solving competence, we got Chromebox Alpha of 0.89. So I must tell you, in Chromebox Alpha is a reliability score that you use to see the question validity and reliability. If you achieve more than 0.70, it considered is a good score and your scale is reliable. In our case, we got nearly 0.90 on every 3 different scales. So it comes gives us a hope that yes, we are in the right direction and we are asking people the right questions. So our questionnaire is very consistent, and we are asking the right question to the right people and in right terminology. So this statistical result statistically signify our scale, and it says that it's a good questionnaire. And then we have some more findings. So as I mentioned earlier, we also had collected data from different demographic variables. So we also did some statistical analysis with the data we have collected with our our with our skills. So I want to mention first that first of all, because it's a 4-page paper, we have lots of page limitations and space limitations. So we couldn't explain, or though we wanted to explain all the statistical significant results that we got, but we were stick with the technical competence and how different variables or different demographic variables are connected with the technical competence. So this, all the results I'm now presenting is related to the technical competence. And we also try to see the importance, for example, or the different stigma that people have. For example, gender. In there is a stigma that, okay, uh, males are more tech savvy compared to females. We know this is a strong thing going on, and there is a stigma. So in first we said, okay, let's see what about gateways. If men's are more technically competent compared with women, and we got a very good results, and the results suggested that there is no technically significant difference between male and female. And when gateway developers are developing a science gateways, they do not have to differentiate between male and female, because there is not a statistically significant predictor that you need to worry about. Our study, at least in our sample, it finds that male and female are equally competent when you talked about technical competence. Then again, talked about ethnicity. So this is funny because I'm from South Asia. If I go somewhere, people will say, hey, are you studying mathematics, or are you studying physics, or Asians? For example, there is a predominant idea that Asians are more tech savvy, or they're more into maths and stuff like that. In engineering, but in at least our sample, we also break this stereotype. Our sample suggested that the results indicated no significant difference with white participant to people of color. So if you think like, okay, maybe white people are more tech savvy compared with people of color, or people of color are more tech savvy compared with white people, no need to think like that, because in our sample, we find that there is no significant statistical difference between people of color and white people. Yes, now we also do find some statistically significant difference in our data set. So for example, age groups. So we find that uh, young adults demonstrated significantly higher technical competence compared to older adults. And it has some sort of great impact. And it's in age groups. So when we think about designing a science gateways, we might provide more assistance to older generations compared with younger generations. So in this case, we might think about how they navigate into the science gateways. Also, education have a great role to play when we are thinking about users in the science gateways. So there is a significant difference in technical competence score between participants with at least a bachelor degree and those without a bachelor degree. So if you see, if you made a science gateway for the high schoolers or people who are in the university then do not have a bachelor degree, you might try to make it uh, more easier compared with the people who had a bachelor degree. So that's two things we find in our data set that can be a predictor, how we want a statistically significant predictor, and that science gateway developers can think to develop their science gateway. So in the discussion, if I summarize our paper into 3 major points and takeaways. So number 1 would be age 60 is a key threshold. User age 59 or younger show higher technical competence. Provide more onboarding and technical support for user age 60 and older. So if your gateway is working with people who have 60 years or older, so you might think more about the users who have crossed the bar of 60 years. And then, as I mentioned earlier, participant with a bachelor degree or higher show higher technical competence. provide more support with introducing a gateway to high schoolers. So if I want to make a gateway for the high school students, I will give more thoughts, and I'll think about how to introduce a gateway to them. And finally, as I mentioned, ethnicity and gender were not found to be predictor of technical competence as statistically significant level. So that's all from me, and I'm ready for question, concerns, and comments.
That was a very great presentation, Ashraf, and also great left a comment like he wishes you all the best for your presentations at the conferences. So, Ben, do you have any questions? Ben, you are unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. My mic must have cut out. Nothing's really coming to mind at the moment. However, that may just be because Ashraf and I have talked extensively about this project already, and so maybe, the gaps have already been filled in my mind regarding any questions for this presentation.
Okay, great. I do have two questions actually. Number one is that in your literature, I have actually a little bit knowledge AI and related stuffs. Can you enlighten me about the differences between chatbot and GPT?
A chatbot. So what I was going to say, so in different sort of model they use in the backside. So for example, GPT is pre-trained model. So what it does when you search for something, it search answer and then it synthesize and it's give you a textual answer. That's what GPT does. But what Bidura does, it will not give you a direct answer. If you ask something, for example, what is the latest, give me what is the latest trial control research on the COVID-19, then it will give you a bunch of literature. So you have to go through the literature and you have to find your own answer. It will not provide to you a synthesized answer just in text. So that's the basic difference between the Vidura and the ChatGPT or GPT models. GPT models try to give you a synthesized answer, not many options.
Okay, now it makes clear. Yes, sure. Thank you. And another questions, I just have some kind of concern, not concern actually. So in your findings that was interesting, like gender and ethnicity has no significance differences. So what can be the reason for like as the ethnicity don't have any differences? Is there any specific reason like they are being trained at US or this kind of stuffs?
That's a great question. First of all, we just compare with white and non-white person. So that's other thing. So for example, if we go in details between, for example, in our data set, we don't have significant portion of like Black people, Asian people, or Indian people. So we just compare with between two groups, the people who are white and people of color. In our data set, we didn't find any significant difference, but maybe if we dig deeper and we had enough data that representing Hispanic people, Asian people, then we might see some difference. But again, I cannot predict anything without having the data. Our data, at least our sample, shows that there is no technical difference between the white and non-white people.
So that question, relevant question on that issue actually. So why you don't take more data? Why you are
Oh,
restricted to only 365 data?
that's a good question. First of all, it's statistically significant to justify our argument, and we try to get more data to do the get a statistically significant results. It is enough. We have enough power to claim our results. So that's why we stop at 365. And if you feel like we need more data to statistically validate something, we would go for it. But with all the statistical results that we have come to a conclusion, 365 is a sufficient sample to provide our result or provide our arguments to validate our arguments. Definitely, more data will give more perspective, but our sample is statistically justified. That's why we didn't go for collecting more data.
Sure. Thank you. I don't have any more questions. Dr. Key, if you have any questions.
Yes, I have a question. Who are the participants in the study? Can you say a little bit more about the backgrounds?
Sorry?
Who are the participants in your study?
Okay, so in my study, the participants is 18 years and older, and they are reside in the United States, and we that's was the two criteria. So they have to be 18 years and older, and they are from the USA.
How did you find them?
Oh, we use a survey company, sentiment.co, that help us to recruit participants. So we usually use a third party. We just give our criteria and they collect data for ourselves and provide us the data.
Do you know how they recruited these participants?
Oh, they have they have their pool. So all the company that provide third party data, so they have their participants pool. So whenever someone give them some tasks to collect data for some survey, this share with their participants pool, and then they collect it. And they also ensure there is no bot involved, because that's one of the criteria we mentioned. That's, for example, nowadays many person can make a bot that answer. That's why we have attention check. So they collect the data from their participants pool.
Okay. Another question for you is, you said that you use a 7-point Likert scale in your survey questionnaire. Why
Yeah.
a 7-point Likert scale? Why not a 5-point or a 10-point Likert scale?
Oh, great. That's a very good question. First of all, in 5-point Likert scale, there is a problem with the middle point. So in 5-point, we don't have 2.5, but with 7-point Likert scale, you have 3 in this side, and then you have a middle point. That's easier to understand. And with 10-point Likert scale, again, it's an even number. Usually for Likert scale, we use odd numbers.
Okay, and so the next question for you is, let's see. Can you explain a little bit more about how Cronbach's alpha was calculated, or what it means, and how do we further understand what this number means?
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's a very good question. So first of all, I didn't mention in my presentation that we use SPSS software to analyze our data. So in SPSS software, the Chromebox Alpha explain that questions are consistent with each other. For example, when we have 7 questions, the number provided, the higher the number, that's all questions are in the right order, and we don't have to drop any questions. For example, we have 6 questions in 18 questions total, and 6 questions in each domain. So if some of the question were not fit there, so for example, if we ask a very weird question that doesn't goes with it, then this specific number of the Chromebox Alpha will show a very number that is below 0.70, and it will tell us, okay, this question doesn't fit here. So what in the plain words I can say that Chromebox Alpha tells us that all the questions are in the right order, in the right place, and it can validate the scale to understand the domain competence or technical competence or problem solving competence.
Okay, thank you for your answers. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Dr. Key. Yeah, but again, I will thank you so much, Dr. Key and Mahdi, and Dr. Key, and please feel free to, or after the meeting, if you want me to stay few minutes and you want to give some personal feedback, I'm okay too, because I will make some edits in my presentation.
Oh, I have an email that I can send. I can click send, and you'll get all my feedback.
Oh, wow, great. I know it was best, but yeah, I will work on that.
Sure. Thank you, Ashraf. Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Dr. Key, for Ashraf's wonderful presentations and also feedback. I think that will help the team to be more prepared for the presentations, even maybe write up their findings and all other stuffs. Sure, I'm going to stop recording right now.